What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me, but I just got home off of an early morning flight, right? First thing through the door, I want to see my family. I love my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm an advocate for families, right? Second thing, I got to get that hot shower because I got to throw the threads on. The threads make me feel like $1,000,000, but the third thing through my mind and all throughout the trip is that I gotta have that Tej pack. Tej makes my life uncomplicated. It's uncomplicated skincare for men. The first way that I started specifically was their level 1 system. It's a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. 2 times per week exfoliate and scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun, and a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. Here's the thing. My favorite part about Hughley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really making the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin for men uncomplicated. In addition to amazing skin, members of Hughley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, you can pause and cancel at any time, and you get free shipping. And because Hughley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers an amazing deal, right? Just click the first link in the description and you get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. It's an amazing deal. You got to get started today. You're not out here trying to look like a dusty. And if you travel as much as I do, which I'm sure most people don't, but you know me, I'm pushing my bag chasers in order to be in the top 5%, top 10%, top 1%. We got to make our lives uncomplicated, and Hughley is no better product. You got to look good. You got to smell good. And you can't be looking like a dusty. Make sure you get started today. Click the link in the description. Get that Tej pack. Feel the Tej, my friends. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. It is Friday, February 3rd, 2023, year of our Lord. What's going on? What's happening? I am very, very excited to be kicking it with you guys today. It is No Fumble on a Friday. We've been killing it all week. You guys have been killing it all week as far as you doing what you're supposed to do in order to maintain success, not fumbling the bag, making the smart decisions in 2023. And we've already accomplished a lot this year, but the first month is over, and it is the third, and we have a lot to cover today. And so I have a busy day. I have a very, very, very busy weekend. So much so to where I'm even trying to figure out whether or not I'm even going to go to the game tonight. I gave my Phoenix Suns tickets to the Pistons game tomorrow night to somebody that works with me. And I'm trying to figure out if I'm even going to go to the game tonight because I got a pod tonight. I got a flight to catch tomorrow. I got business to take care of. I got meetings to take care of for corporate America so that everything is straight on that front. So we got a lot of work to do, right? And we like work. And work makes us, it ensures that we are doing what we're supposed to do and adding value into this life. A lot of people try to lean into the idea that they don't want to work. I don't understand it. I very much plan to be doing some form of work for the rest of my life simply because it adds a lot of value into my life. But that's a whole nother conversation. But I'm glad that I'm not muted now that I'm starting to stream. That was one of the things that I had as a sticky note before I even started the stream is to make sure that you're not muted when you start talking because then people be like, Anton, you muted, Anton, you muted, Anton, you muted. So I'm on it. I remember one time I did a whole video. And I was supposed to drop it for people. And I'm like, yeah, that was fire. That was fire. This was some time ago, probably like 6 months ago. And I did a whole video. And then I went to play it back and I was muted the entire time. So that's why I like doing shows because I can actually interact with the audience and it allows for me to be able to get feedback so that I can actually give you the best information possible. So without further ado, let me check into the chat and see what's happening. I see my dog Daryl Long is in here. What up, S. Chanel? S. Chanel, I seen you I rewatched the show, the Lapeef Let's Talk show this morning when I first woke up. I seen you in the chat holding me down. Shout out to Esh. Money Marco, what's in the build? What's happening? What's in the building? My dog Kojak, no fumble on the Fridays. You know it ain't no fumbling on the Fridays. Big Suggs, Alvin S. Kingdom Minded, what's happening, Kingdom Minded? Michael Reeves is in the building. Little Black Duck 2001, I love you. My girl Randy, what's happening? Sarah H, I love you also. Larry Walker, what up though, Larry Walker? Larry Walker, I be running into Larry. Larry was at the meetup in Miami. Shout out to Larry. Mark Blair, what's happening, Mark? Brandy, you so gorgeous. Sarah, I love you. Stephen Day is in the building. My dog Kojak, you know Kojak is always here. And everybody else, Alvin S., Stephen Day, Kevin Robinson, Empress Carmen, what's up, Empress? Joshua, Year, Jimmy Howard, what's happening? Rita. Rita's supposed to be getting like some kind of laser hair removal or something. I don't want to tell her business. But what up, though? What up, though? D Got Sauces in the building. What up, Treese? What's happening? How you feel? Solomon Cannon, Hero said hello. Hello. Hey, listen. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Jay Ali, I love you. What's happening, baby girl? I will be reading super chats throughout the show. So I appreciate you. Cash App super chats. I am always going to acknowledge everybody, no matter whether it's $1 or $100 or $9,000. It doesn't matter. I'm always going to appreciate the people that hold me down and make sure that they're adding as much value into me as I pour into you guys. So before we get started, let me just make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. You know what it is in the Patreon. The best day to join the Patreon is the third day, after the second day and after the first day. So we on the third best day to join the Patreon. If you have not joined the Bag Chasers, you are really, really missing out. Honestly, you are genuinely missing out. Don't call me and say, Anton, how do I do this? How do I do that? When you can tap in with me, and if you need to get in touch with me, email me at antondaniels413@gmail.com, and I'm going to make sure I get you scheduled for a Zoom call or a personal call. But wouldn't you want to spend the time that you have with me and on your Zoom calls or your phone calls, mining out information that you don't have access to, and then we can deep dive into your life more personal instead of spending all of the time on things that's already inside of the Patreon? If you're a Patreon member and then you leverage the personal call in order to get more insight information or to apply certain things personally, that's the best way to do it. And so make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. The link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Also, I am posting regularly on TikTok. I just dropped a video on Facebook today and Instagram. So I am regularly uploading and managing all of my social media platforms. I'm not really a fan of TikTok. It's probably my least favorite social media platform, but my people said that I got to be on TikTok, so I listen to the people that surround me. Shout out to Kevin Robinson Jr. says, how many pounds down are you, man? About 21. 21. I'm about 21 pounds down, but I've leaned into weightlifting now. And so it's more like I'm not really looking to lose a whole lot of weight fast. I'm just trying to lose it the right way while also building up and continuing to become the best version of myself. So it's really a lifestyle, right? We want to live like this forever. This is not going to be a quick hit thing. And I'm approaching this in the same way that I've approached finances, as I've approached my career. It took me years to get to the space that I'm at now, so it's going to take me some time to be able to do it the right way, and I don't believe in shortcuts, which is a phenomenal question, right? And so let's just get right into the show. I really, really like that question because the first thing that I was thinking about this morning, because y'all had sent me multiple different articles on this, and I hadn't been able to get to it because I was so focused on what was going on with Tyree Nichols and Jason Whitlock and the lunch ladies on Fox Soul and all of that type of stuff, right? But y'all had been sending me this story, and I want to share my screen with you guys for a second because I want to talk about shortcuts, and that's the perfect segue into the show before we get into the Boyce Watkins, before we get into D.L. Hughley. Apparently there's a massive nursing degree scheme which led to a whole bunch of fraudulent nurses. Now, it's a couple different ways in which we can slice this, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, the first way that we can slice this is, well, let's just deep dive a little bit into the article, and then we gonna mine it out, right? So it said more than 2,800 people may be working as nurses under false pretenses after allegedly buying a fake diploma for between $10,000 and $15,000 from a massive Florida-based scheme recently busted by the federal investigators. State and federal authorities are now working to track down the alleged fraudulent nurses and in some cases immediately annulling their licenses. Last week, Department of Justice announced charges against 25 people in 5 states connected to the alleged scheme. Investigation, codenamed Operation Nightingale, found evidence that 25 defendants worked to sell more than 7,600 fake diplomas along with transcripts between 2016 and 2021. That's 5 years. That's a 5-year window. All right, let's mine it out a little bit more. Making over $100 million in the process. Fraudulent diplomas and transcripts were allegedly issued from three accredited Florida-based nursing schools: Siena, Sacred Heart, and Broward County and Palm Beach School of Nursing in Palm Beach County. So let me just mine this out. It said fraudulent diplomas and transcripts were allegedly issued from 3 accredited Florida-based nursing schools. So basically, they issued false diplomas from real schools. That's a finesse. That's a heck of a finesse. Let's continue. The 3 schools are now closed. 25 defendants each face up to 20 years in prison. Oh, that's a long time. 20 years. That's 2 decades, man. 20 years ago, I was just getting married and getting started. I got a daughter that's 14 years old. Man, that's a whole lifetime. I didn't even think I would live to be 20 years old. It's a long time to be spending eating oodles of noodles. Healthcare fraud is nothing new to South Florida. Shout out to my Floridians that's finessing the game. As many scammers see this as a way to earn easy, though illegal money. What's disturbing is over 7,600 people around the country with fraudulent nursing credentials who are potentially in critical healthcare roles treating patients with a fake diploma and transcript. An unscrupulous aspiring nurse can qualify to take the National Nursing Board exam. If they pass the exam, they can become licensed nurses and get a job in healthcare setting. Federal authorities reported that of the 7,600 people that are allegedly fake diplomas, around 30%, 37% more than 2,800 people passed the exam. And so a lot, only a third of y'all actually passed the exam even after you got the fake documents. So you spent $10,000 to $15,000 purchasing the documents. And then we got a bunch of people that's out here treating people and putting their hands on people and having their care and their life in somebody else's hands that's not qualified to do so. That's bad. Many went on to get jobs. Deplorable. Authorities, this is the biggest part. Authorities are now tracking down those nurses. Some of the questionable nurses were employed at Veteran Affairs hospitals in Maryland and New York, and a hospital in Georgia, and a skilled nursing facility in Ohio, among other places. Late last week, a Delaware State Board of Nursing annulled the licenses of 26 people working as nurses after obtaining allegedly fake degrees. Monday, reporters in Georgia reported that there are 22 people working as nurses in the state with alleged fake diplomas. 22 people on January 17th requesting that they voluntarily surrender their licenses within 30 days. As of January 30th, none had done so. What do y'all think that this is? Come on home to Jesus. Washington State's Nursing Care Quality Assurance Commission announced it had identified 150 applicants using credentials from the alleged scheme. Of the 150 people, 7 had their licenses rescinded, 4 applicants were denied, 62 were in legal limbo, and the remaining 77 under investigation. That's bad. That's very, very bad. That is very, very horrible. So, what is the lesson that we're learning from this? We don't take shortcuts. Not over here at the Bag Chasers. A lot of people hit me up, and I don't even, this is not even egregious how people hit me up and they ask me questions about how it is that they can take the shortest path to success. Whether they can just quickly go through a boot camp, how can I avoid having to go to school? With the amount of effort and the amount of money that you wind up spending actually trying to do the thing that's illegal, you can actually spend the time and you can have your stuff actually legit to where you don't have to worry about anything. One of the reasons why I feel so comfortable talking the way that I talk online, let me blow myself up a little bit, because I always like to give myself props. One of the reasons why I feel so comfortable talking the way that I talk online is because I have no skeletons in my closet and I've done everything the right way. I don't have to worry about a fake license. I don't have to worry about a PPP loan. I don't have to worry about ever losing my corporate position because I schemed and scammed on my resume or I sent in fake documents or any type of stuff. We don't worry about that type of stuff. And so I'm free. You would not believe what it feels like to have to or to not have to worry about anything looking over your shoulder, nobody kicking in your door, not getting arrested. I ain't got to worry about no skeletons. I ain't got to worry about every single day you on a job, you scared. You know how they used to do it in the commercial, in the little in the cartoons. You scared, you worried. It is incredibly, incredibly freeing to live your life like an open book and not have to worry about anything coming back to you or anybody kicking down your door or anybody giving you a problem or anybody kicking you off the job or you getting arrested or you getting your license revoked. You've now based and made your whole life based off of whatever it is that you've done illegally and you've got away with it for an extended period of time. And so now, because you thought you got away with it, you started to get more comfortable. And the minute that you get comfortable, your door get kicked in, your license get revoked. More importantly, let's look at the ethical standards that we are having as a community, right? And as a community of people, you have to start to question why is it that we always got to do stuff illegally and get shortcuts? And I know this is not applied to just the black community. That's not what I'm necessarily talking about. I'm talking about as a community of people within the United States of America. Why did everything got to be a finesse? Why everything got to be a scheme? Why everything got to be a scam? I mean, from an ethical perspective, from a moral, like you got somebody's life in your hands. You willing to put somebody else's life on the line and in danger just so you can get a bag? Don't answer that question. I know some of y'all is going to answer it the wrong way. Don't even answer that question. Think about what we just said. You're willing to put somebody else's life on the line just so you can continue to get a bag? I know you will. You do it every single day. You don't care nothing about your brother. You don't care nothing about the people that you surround yourself with. And let me tell you what's going to happen. They're going to say, oh, it's the man's fault. It's the system's fault. I heard somebody say online the other day, as it pertains to this specifically, and this is one of the reasons why it was important for me to address it. I heard somebody say online the other day, and they said, you shouldn't need a degree to be able to do it as long as you can do the job well. Where they do that at? When did we start qualifying ourselves based off of what we think and not based off of the standards? I've always leaned into this. Whenever I'm trying to question whether or not it makes sense for me to go and do something, I always ask myself on the other end of the spectrum, would I want somebody doing something for me that wasn't qualified to do so? When we go out and we get contractors and we buy a house and we get our inspectors, we want people that are truly good at their job. Unless you are a person that habitually line step and cut corners, and we call that, excuse my language, nigger rigging. You know how it is. You're going to tap into the dude that's down the street and he going to put it together just enough for you to be able to get by. You're going to take it to the hood mechanic because he been doing it for a long time and I know he can get it. I like my stuff insured. I like to be able to pull the receipts and actually write it off as a expense for my business, and I don't have to figure out how I can pay you in cash so we can pay you under the table. Man, that's nigga stuff. That stuff that should have died way back in the 80s and the 90s. We gonna have to figure out how to do stuff the right way. No more cutting corners. No more trying to spin the block, trying to get it for the cheap price. Every time you do business with somebody, you trying to get the hookup. Hey, give me the black discount. We brothers. Well, if you was my brother, then you would be willing to pay full price the same way that you don't ask for a discount when you go to all of these other stores and they overcharge you. I charged you a fair price and you still don't want to pay it because you want the hookup. I can't, you know what I hate? I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I can't stand when somebody send me an email, and that's why I don't even check I filter through my emails. There's certain emails I check because I get them on my phone. I get the alerts, and I look at it, and I look at the subject, and I'll be like, okay, well, I'm gonna let somebody else take care of that. I'm gonna let somebody else take care of that because people will hit me up and they say, Anton. Now, keep in mind, I'm overbooked. My schedule is already being scheduled out through April. I don't need the money. I don't need the resources. I got sponsors coming out of my earlobes. Shout out to Teach Hanley and the Alpha Juice Company. Make sure y'all tap into the Alpha Juice Company. The discount codes is down in the description for y'all to be able to tap into that product. Do not order unless you are using a discount code. It is a phenomenal product. Shout out to the Alpha Juice Company. I have sponsors come out of my earlobes. There are people literally waiting for a sponsor to fall off because I will not have too many products at one time in order to ensure that I'm not overwhelming the people and it's just don't become a sponsor. Like I actually want to add value to people. And then somebody will send me an email and say, hey man, how much is it to sponsor my company? And so, whoever it is answering the email, they'll give them the price because I got a price sheet and a price list. And my prices is like way more than fair, especially considering the value that I give to people. And they say, oh man, can you give me the hookup? I said, Rita, delete the email immediately. Delete the email immediately because anybody that is sitting there asking me for a discount should not be doing business with me in the first place, because the value that you get as a result of doing business with me more than compensates for what it is that you spend. And you're going to make 10 times on your money when you spend money with me. I'm going to make sure of it because that's the type of business person that I am. I've always done good business. I've always done fair business. I've never, ever, even on the coaching calls, I don't charge people what I charge my corporate clients because I want to continue to add value into the people. And one of the things, right, and I always evaluate every single year, well, Anton, are you going to charge more? Are you going to raise the prices based off of inflation? Are you going to raise the prices in the Patreon? No, I've left them the same since I've started the Patreon, even for my renters. The people that rent out of my properties, you know why they've never moved out? Because I'm more than fair. I treat them like humans. I treat them better than they would be if they went somebody else, than they went somewhere else. I've never, ever in my life had a tenant leave my properties, ever. Part of it is how I vet effectively. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. I got videos in there on how it is that you need to look at your real estate strategy and how you vet tenants effectively. But I've never had anybody ask me for a reprieve, a discount. As a matter of fact, they over deliver and they make sure that they pay me ahead of time because they know that they got the phenomenal deal and it's nowhere else that you can get it. I've never raised the prices of rent. From the time that you get in there to the time that you leave, the price stay the same, and I never raise the price based off of what's happening in the economy. I'm just more than fair because I got more than enough, and I'm not greedy, and I'm not that type of landlord, and I'm not the type of person to do business in a negative way. And so as a result, why would you then try to overstep and use me? Because we all use each other, but don't misuse me, right? You use me, I use you. It's transactional. We both benefit as a result of it. But why would you misuse me? I don't misuse people. Every person that has ever traveled to Detroit, do an interview, fly to them, they fly to me, they get the best treatment. I treat you the same way that I would want to be treated. You stay in the best hotels, you get the suites, you get the executive corner suite, you get the penthouse, you get the best flights. I don't put people on. It's nothing wrong with Spirit. Don't get me wrong. But because I don't travel on Spirit, and it's not that I wouldn't, I have before. I actually think it's a halfway decent airline, especially for whatever it is that you're trying to get off. If you need to get over there, then get over there for the right price, right? But my point is that since I haven't traveled on Spirit for a long time, I'm not going to put you on a flight that I haven't taken in a recent amount of time. Because it's not that it's not a bad airline, but it's just that I want you to experience something that I know is going to be ideal because I've been regularly going through this thing. And so I treat you the way that I would want to be treated. I treat my neighbor the way that I want to be treated. Why are we so dedicated to trying to get the hookup? You get more by doing business the right way. Every single person that I do business with, we wind up doing business again and again and again and again. And then we wind up doing bigger deals, and then we wind up putting together other businesses. And then it manifests itself in ways in which we never even planned to in the first place. But it's just because you're a good person, you got good energy, and then you lead with or be the example that you would want to be treated like. We got to stop taking shortcuts. We got to stop trying to get the quick degree, try to just get our foot in the door. That's why we always at the bottom of the totem pole. You just want to be associated with the company. That's the truth. You just want to say that I work here. No matter how much money you make, don't matter how high you could have went, don't matter the amount of dedication that you actually put into it to just get your foot in the door. You could have actually been going up the ladder. And so when people ask me a question, Anton, should I take this? Should I take that? I say you can. But if it were me, this is what I would do. A, B, C, D. Let me show you how it is that you can get this B, A, G. Let me show you how to get a bag. Let me show you how to look at it from a long-term perspective. Let me show you how you can then pour into your family from a long-term perspective, because I've done it. And the minute that we get out of this mentality that we're going to cut corners and we're going to take shortcuts and we just want to do it. And I need to hurry up and get to the bag. Life is long. I don't know who told you that life is short, but life is long. It is very long. And the thing that you do today is going to determine how much more enjoyable life is going to be tomorrow. And the minute you start looking at yourself like a king, you're going to start making better long-term decisions instead of shortcuts based off of your emotions on trying to do things that's not even conducive for your lifestyle for people that don't care anything about you. It's a different type of mindset that you have to condition yourself to believe in order to be successful. It's the same mindset that I take into every single thing that I do. And so at that point, you will grow. You will be exceptional. You will be great. I don't want a doctor or a surgeon or a neurosurgeon or a nurse or anybody in any profession or a lawyer. I don't want a jailhouse lawyer representing me in court. I want somebody who's proven, who's actually gone to law school, who's taken the steps. One of the reasons why school is so important is it actually substantiates that you're willing to go through what it takes necessary in order to be successful. It's a barrier to entry. Once you get in there, you got to prove that you actually worth your salt. It's not just to teach you, it's to give you the fundamentals, and it's actually to be able to separate the ones that's supposed to be there from ones that's just wanted to get in there. If it was for everybody, if it was easy, everybody would do it, but it's not. And that's why you see people taking liberal arts courses and they want to take the basket weaving degrees because they just want to say that I got a degree. They just want to say that I'm an alumni. They just want to say that I went to that school. They not actually trying to make nothing of themselves. They was just there because that's what everybody else was doing. And so now they don't want to be left behind, and it's a Me Too culture. At some point, you're going to have to stand out on your own, figure out who it is that you are, work hard, grind, hustle, and leave this earth in a better space had you not been here. And it starts up here. It starts with the mentality. It starts with throwing away that shortcut mentality, always asking for discounts, trying to be cheap, never tipping, never taking care of the people that take care of you on a regular basis, not acknowledging, not saying thank you, not saying, I see what you're doing over there, fam. I appreciate you. Sometimes people just want a simple thank you. Sometimes people just want a simple thank you. You wake up every day on the wrong side of the bed. You tear up everything in front of you, and then you expect for somebody to be able to go out of their way and go over and above because it's customer service. Stop. Sow good seeds. Have a good yield. That's the lesson. So let's deep dive into this. Again, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Alpha Juice Company, you know what it is. The link is in the description, and don't order it without putting a discount code in first. Let me read a couple of these super chats. Purple Haze says, what up though? Yesterday's stream was so fire, and I emailed you to become stop the old me and become the best version of me. Salute to you and the Bag Chasers. I look forward to the Zoom call. Can't wait to kick it with you, Purple Haze. Thank you for the 10 ball and supporting the platform. You are much appreciated. My dog, Michael Jones is in the building. Michael Jones says, good morning, Anton. Today is no fumbling the bag Friday. My respect for you has gone to another level from last night's show to the interview with Jason Whitlock. You are in another atmosphere. And guess what? Guess what, Mike? Let me give you a little bit of secret. I'm just getting started. It is just, I thank everybody that's been with me for the last couple of years and those that have been with me on my other channel even longer than that. Thank you, Michael Jones, for contributing to the platform, because we are going to the moon. We are going out of this world, and it is going to be absolutely awesome. If you've seen my rise, if you've seen my evolution and how I communicate and my comfortability and my confidence as I continue to have these conversations with you online, then you know I'm only getting started. I honestly believe, and I never set out to do this, and I want to get into this whole D.L. Hughley, Jason Whitlock, Boyce Watkins conversation. I never honestly expected to even be going down certain paths. I never even looked at myself as even like a motivational speaker type of guy. I never looked at myself as like a pastor type of guy. I honestly believe that I can be one of the number one motivational speakers in the world. I know ET saying that he about to start retiring and he's trying to promote other people and put other people in place in order to. I think I'm the next up. I see it. I am the next person to be standing in front of you at a conference, helping you to understand and taking it to the next level, even beyond what ET was giving you. I'm saying it right here, right now. On Friday, February 3rd, 2023, I am going to take over everything. I am going to be on everything. If you are here right now, you are on the ground level of what we're witnessing to be greatness. I'm telling you, you are on the ground level. I was praying to God this morning, and he was telling me, he said, Anton, it's going to be crazy. The ride is going to be wild. The ride is going to be wild. You are going to be exceptional. You are next up. So I don't want to start getting too riled up because you know me, once I start getting into my zone, then I'm going to start preaching and it's going to be a completely different conversation. So I'm trying to stay on point. I'm trying to stay on task, and I'm trying to keep create these, this good dialogue with y'all on a Friday to get y'all day started off right. So again, tab into the Patreon. I want to get into this D.L. Hughley conversation. All right. D.L. Hughley, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So I'm not necessarily a fan of D.L. Hughley. Not my cup of tea. I was a fan of his comedy. I am a fan of his hustle. I did defend him, and I'm objective as possible when he was going through the whole spat with Monique. I am not a fan of his take. I'm not a fan of his black on blackity black takes, and I'm not a fan of his liberal mindset and way of thinking. And I think that D.L. Hughley, to a larger extent, is a hater. I think he is what I would call is truly wrong with the black community, and I don't think that he's. I respect his hustle. I respect that he stands on what it is that he says, and he doesn't waver from it. However, I think that he's wrong on a lot of things, and I think that he's one of the things that's wrong with the black community. All right. I don't find him to be that funny compared to his other kings of comedy. I thought that he was the least funniest king of comedy. And I'm just not a fan of D.L. Hughley in a general sense. Let me read a couple of these super chats before I show this. Emmett Trill says, does Anton Daniels listen to techno? I absolutely do. This is what we call it here in Detroit. We call it house music. Actually, techno and house music started here in Detroit. A lot of people don't know that. I am a fan. As a matter of fact, in the earlier days for the Electronic Music Festival here in Detroit, before they even started charging for it and stuff like that, I was one of the people that was hanging out at the Electronic Music Festival. Techno, house music, electronic music, I've always loved it. I love all of the different types of techno and house music artists. I love Daft Punk all the way to I'm not gonna get into it. But yes, I absolutely love techno. I love house music, and it is absolutely lit. Aaron says, if you want to do some motivational speaking, I have a few events coming up spring and summer where we could use a speaker. I will have them people in there shouting and getting the Holy Ghost, Aaron. You know what I'm saying? No, house music was solidified in Detroit. Why Chicago always think that they can compare to us? Chicago is, listen, I love my Chicagoans. But we've been kicking Chicago's ass for a long time. We kicked y'all ass in 89, 90 when we was killing Jordan all through the 80s. We kicked y'all ass in jitting. We kicked y'all ass in skating. We kicked y'all ass in music. We whoop on Chicago, and we love y'all. We love y'all. Listen, y'all can do to Milwaukee what we do to y'all, okay? Chicago, y'all are our little brother as far as how it's been, and we've been kicking y'all ass for a long time. All right? We've been whooping on Chicago since before Jordan. We kick y'all butt in jitting. We kick y'all butt in basketball. We kick y'all butt in dancing. We kick y'all butt in everything. Y'all are not even remotely on our level. Y'all keep listen. I get it. I love my Chicagoans. I'm just saying. Chicago is no Detroit when it comes to innovation. At all. Because please don't let me put on my skates. It's over. All right, let me get back to what it is that we was talking about. So D.L. Hughley, right? D.L. Hughley apparently is positioning himself and auditioning for The Daily Show. We know that The Daily Show used to be hosted by, what was his name? The African dude. What was the African dude? Trevor Noah. The Daily Show used to be piloted by and hosted by Trevor Noah. They are now apparently putting different people on and doing auditions. D.L. Hughley is obviously one of the candidates that they wanted to host to see whether or not it would be relevant. And so he jumped on here, and one of the subjects that he talked about was Tyree Nichols. Apparently, he talked about Jason Whitlock's and Fox News' take on it. I have not seen it as usual. You know I do not react to stuff or watch it before I come on this live stream. And so we're going to look at it and rock it out together. We know Aaron is biased. Aaron says Detroit better than Chicago. You're a begged comedian. You're a better comedian than DL. You know what's so funny about Aaron? Aaron didn't even stay in Chicago. People from Chicago don't even want to be in Chicago. That's how I know that they just be capping. They say, "Oh man, I'm from Chicago to the death." You be like, "Hey, where you live at?" Boston. So you moved away from Chicago to one of the whitest cities in the United States of America, one of the whitest metropolitan areas in the United States of America. Okay, gotcha. Let's get into this D.L. Hughley conversation, y'all.
D.L. Hughley, and welcome to The Daily Show.
I'm going to speed it up a little bit.
Of course, between me and Leslie and Wanda, this is starting to look a lot like BET. I tell you that. Do not be shocked if you see those diabetes commercials. You know? Ozempic. Black people love that song. You can have 1 foot, you still dance to that song. You don't even care. All right.
Give me a second. I know it's very difficult to tell jokes on the fly, especially when you're looking to get a show started. So give me a second. For me personally, none of those jokes hit. Okay? I know a lot of y'all think that DL is funny, and I don't fault you for that. I'm just saying, yeah. Okay. Sir Shah, shout out to Sir Shah, says, I've been to both Detroit and Chicago, and both are great. Thank you, Sir Shah. I appreciate you for holding
it. All right, of course, we have a lot that we need to talk about, so we're going to get right to it. So I'm sure many of you heard by now that a young black man in Memphis was pulled over by the police, and we all saw how it went down.
A lot of y'all like to say stuff like Kevin Hart really ain't that funny. I really enjoy Kevin Hart. I'm going to speed it past this because I don't want the video to get flagged by doing all of the, showing all of that video or whatever. I just want to get his takes. I don't even want y'all to watch the video. A lot of y'all be saying stuff like Kevin Hart ain't it. D.L. Hughley is probably the least funniest comedian that I know personally. So that's just my own personal take. I think Kevin Hart is dope. I actually went and seen him in person at the Fox Theater. I think that he was hitting on all cylinders, and he was absolutely a hoot. I like his movies. I like what he be talking about. I even like his interviews. He be funny than a mug. I seen him on Drink Champs. He was funny. He's a different type of funny, and he may not be as funny as Dave Chappelle, but gosh, D.L. Hughley, he is with them cornrows. Come on, man. D.L. Hughley is like 60, still wearing cornrows. All right, let me get out of my personal perspective about D.L. Hughley. And let's focus on what it is he have to say, because I have not seen what he had to say. But let's continue, y'all. I've turned it up to not 1.5 times, but 1.25 times faster.
No, we were not like it just like I think that is a word we should throw out of our lexicon, because the one thing we were not. You just see black people sitting around. Can you believe they beat the shit out of another nigga on TV? Can you believe that? Because it's pretty commonplace for us. The only people who are probably shocked by this are people who haven't been paying attention. But for us, that's just like a flashback. So those videos are like so commonplace. It's hard to be shocked. That's like watching a porno and saying, he gonna stick that where?
Do they got a laugh track, or are they holding up a sign as be like, "Hey, laugh now"?
Ain't no way in hell that's gonna fit. I mean, I don't know. I'm just making a point. I don't watch porno. Let's stick with the story, all right? It is not shocking to black people, because that is probably every black parent's nightmare. It's like that's why we train our children to deal with police. We act like they going on safari or something. Like, don't make a sudden noise, don't make any sudden moves, don't smile, don't run.
Maybe he nervous. Like he mixing up his words. I'm gonna rewind it. I'm gonna slow it down to the regular speed. Let's see what the real impact was supposed to be. Maybe he just nervous. Give me a second.
Because that is probably every black parent's nightmare. It's like that's why we train our children to deal with police. We act like they going on safari or something. Like, don't make a sudden noise, don't make any sudden moves, don't smile, don't run. So you can't.
And then they got a safari picture. Oh God, come on, y'all. How unoriginal. And that was supposed to be a joke that they forgot to put the laugh track up. Hold on. Look at this. I'm gonna make myself look at the signs that they doing as they doing this. Come on, y'all. Just look, watch.
Going on safari or something. Like, don't make a sudden noise, don't make any sudden moves, don't smile, don't run. So you can't be shocked when the media spent a whole week prepping us for the video. They told us how violent it was gonna be.
Okay.
To be real, that video got more promo than I did for this show. It's like, I haven't seen a TV show that anticipated since the remake of Night Court. They wasn't playing around. It was like they were rolling out a new movie release. Brought to you from the people that bought you George Floyd and Rodney King.
Who sent me this, man? Who sent me this? Like, honestly, I'm genuinely concerned. I'm trying to get to where the take is, right? Because I'm going to play Boyce Watkins and his take on this whole situation, because Boyce Watkins apparently said the title of Boyce Watkins' video was Jason Whitlock and D.L. Hughley are the same person. So I'm trying to get through this painful take, and I'm trying to figure out why people watch The Daily Show. So just give me some room. Give me some room, y'all. I'm genuinely I'm going to read the super chats in a second, but just give me some room.
I can tell you what I did find shocking was how fast those cops got arrested. Man.
And let me guess, he going to say that, the cops got arrested so fast because they was black too, right? Because if it was a white cop, then they would have gave him a little bit more leeway. I'm just guessing. I have not seen this. I don't know what he's going to say.
They got arrested so fast, they didn't even give us time to riot. Like, I'm like, damn, what am I gonna do with all this gasoline? I gotta pour it back in the lawnmower. Because, usually it takes a considerable amount of time more. Like, usually when they tell us a cop got indicted, a reporter is wiping tear gas out our eyes. So and it's just interesting.
Let me shoot him a little bit of bell right here. Because I've never seen this video. Do you know how difficult it is to put on a show by yourself with no co-host, no nothing? It's just you. So it is difficult. A lot of people don't really understand how difficult it is for you to put on a show, let alone a live stream. And so I'm assuming that, because he's auditioning for the show and he's trying to do it or whatever like that, maybe he's just a little bit nervous or whatever. But let's continue.
Interesting, because they did get arrested fast. And I just, these cops got arrested so fast, I gotta wonder, why did, there's something about them.
Did you not see that joke come? Did I not literally just prep you for what was about to happen? Did I not prep you guys for what the punchline was going to be? I literally just said what the punchline was going to be. Oh, they got arrested so fast because they was black. And if it was a white cop, a kindergartner could have wrote that, man. Come on, man. We gotta be. We are a very innovative, smart group of people. Or maybe he's just aged out. Maybe he's aged out and it's just not the same. Did we not just prep you guys and tell you that this was about to happen? Good, because they was black. I wonder why. It's the black thing. It's the black versus white thing. Yeah, we need to retire the black-white joke. Honestly. We need to retire the black-white joke. If it was a whole bunch of black people and something go off, they would have all ran at the same time. White people go over there and say, hey, what's happening over here? Like, that is the most tired, lazy joke that I've ever seen in my entire life. No kind of inspiration has been done at least 1 million times. The black joke, the white joke, black men, because when they deal with their women, and the white men, like, oh, Jesus. Come on, man. We can't do no better than this. This is the Daily Show. This is an opportunity for you to really make an impression. I would have been up there killing it. I'd have been up there doing all kind of egregious things. Let me get some more spotlight. Boy, Dr. Phil was like, Jesus, can you come back? I can't wait to get booked my flight. I got to go call the producer at Dr. Phil tomorrow.
That looks fast arrest worthy. Like,
Okay, so if I'm biased, somebody tell me what was funny about it. Somebody tell me the funny part of any of this right now. Somebody tell me the funny part of any of this. I'm just curious because I don't see it.
I can't put my finger on it, but I want to arrest them myself. I don't know. Maybe they get their haircut at the same place. I don't know. I can tell you what did scare me is that no one could tell us what Tyree could have done to stop this from happening. I mean, usually you hear people saying he should have followed orders, but they gave him 71 different orders in 13 minutes. So not even Wendy's can turn an order around that goddamn fast. And then they gave orders that didn't make any sense, like telling him get on the ground when he was already on the ground.
Let's speed this up.
Like, I don't know how they do it in Memphis, but where I'm from, the ground is as low as you can go. That's it. But, it is a complex issue. And I know it helps me whenever I'm delving into a complex issue that affects black people, and I want an expert opinion. What I do is I turn to Fox News.
Okay, so maybe this is where it is. This is what happened. I guess this is where he's talking about Jason Whitlock or whatever like that, right?
I learned how to make gumbo watching that show too. So it's the reason that I found out why cops do bad things in the first place, and it's apparently because people are so mean to them.
This is a direct result of all this defund the police stuff, right?
And if you vilify the cops, you'll get less people wanting to be cops.
These endless wars on police departments now, they have dissuaded a lot of good people from becoming police officers. That's a fact. They've had recruitment problems and they've had retention problems. You can look at the data like I can. And what happens is you wind up getting stuck, plain and simple, with just bad guys.
You would think he got his ass whipped, right? But the great thing about it is I got a guy from Fox to say they are bad cops. I got him to agree with Antifa. See, that's. I've been there one day and I'm changing shit already. It's going great. But
give me a second. Just give me a second. I'm trying to. I'm getting there. I'll get there.
There's one guy on Fox News, and this dude came up with something that I got to tell you, I really did not see it coming.
Looked like gang violence to me. It looked like what young black men do when they're supervised by a single black woman. And that's what they got going on in the Memphis Police Department. They've elected or put some black woman in charge of the police force. And we're getting the same kind of chaos and disunity and violence that we see in a lot of these cities that are run by single mothers.
What the
Is somebody tell me before we get into this, is D.L. Hughley a simp? Like, is D.L. Hughley one of those gay rights activists, believe all women, Me Too movement supporting, Bill Cosby was wrong, take heaven? Is he one of those type of guys before we get in there?
What is he talking about? What is he? So it is single black mothers that are the problem. So wait a minute. All of these cops, all of them, they had single black mothers too? And by the way, those are the images that came up when I Googled good cops. If Jason Whitlock proved anything, is that you do not have to be white to hate black people. And I can understand.
So wait. So again, I don't agree with the take that Jason Whitlock had on the show either. And I actually said that to him specifically. That was the one thing that me and him had a disagreement about. The additional context that Jason Whitlock had was the overall premise behind the idea that single motherhood, which is hugely prevalent and the most prevalent within the black community, is strongly destroying, is very much destroying how it is that we're supposed to operate as a culture. So actually, I think that that's something that you need to do in order to really show that you love people, is to hold them accountable, not necessarily the opposite. But let's continue.
How can we expect Jason to see the plight of black people when this dude can't even see his own dick? So.
Yay. So he did this. Literally, he did the same thing that he literally just did the same thing that the cocktail lunch ladies that we talked about yesterday just said. The first thing that they did, and I understand it's the Daily Show, it's supposed to be funny, whatever. Ha 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 ha. But they result to insults, and they go into insults, and they start throwing things. Like, if we start talking about D.L. Hughley and the fact that he got a gray beard and black hair with cornrows in it, would that be a thing? I mean, D.L. Hughley has no mustache. He has, if we start going into all of the different things, right? We're not substantiating the argument. This dude got no stash and a goatee. No stash, man. He's a black man that's 60 plus years old, and he has earrings in his ear. Like, do we really want to start resulting to identifying everything that we don't like about somebody in order to try to discredit what it is that they're saying? If he had a take on his argument or whatever it is that he stood for, that's a completely different conversation, because then you're attacking an argument and you're not attacking a person. What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with what Jason Whitlock was saying specifically? I attacked the argument. I did not attack the person.
I'm D.L. Hughley. You know I was going to do a dick joke on conversation. Stop. All right, for more on this story, I'm going to be joined by Roy Wood Jr. What can you, hold on. You just disagree with the man. You had to bring the dick into it, then come to me. I'm sorry. Let's not let a dick come between us. It's crazy. What can you tell me about the police officer that committed this attack?
Here's the thing, Dio. First and foremost, they're not just any police officers. They were actually part of an elite unit within the department with a special focus on violent crime. Elite unit.
That was elite.
Yeah, it was elite. It was elite. Like, and the whole idea of an elite unit is already kind of weird, right?
Is this supposed to be a look like, I got the casual look, just got off of work, let me do the loose collar / tie, almost tied up, but like, is that a look? Is that a thing? I didn't know if that was a thing. I thought that either you showed up fully put together or you just go casual. I didn't know you was going to semi-casual. I'm going to throw the blazer on and the shirt that's halfway buttoned and the tie that's almost up. It looked like I just got off of work. Look, about to go to coffee hour. Is that supposed to be like a look? Come on, man. Who is this guy?
Right, like, shouldn't the whole police force already be elite? I mean, you already got guns. Like, it's like, This is like when you get on the plane and the flight attendant tell you, oh, well, you're lucky today. This is one of our elite pilots. Well, who the hell? Who's signed this shit before, man? But there's something even weirder about this elite unit, and that's in the name of this elite unit. They were actually called the Scorpions. Oh, wow. The Scorpion, the acronym. You know, the police, they love the acronyms. And Scorpion stands for Street Crimes Operations to Restore Peace in Our Neighborhoods. Scorpion. Okay. And I don't know about you, Dia, but look, as a rule of thumb, no police unit should be named after a Mortal Kombat character.
I agree.
You can't name no unit.
Is this whole show like jokes? Because I don't watch the Daily Show, so I don't necessarily know. Is the whole show supposed to be like a take on what's happening with current events and getting a serious take while joking about it at the same time? Because it's wild. This is just wild.
Scorpion, because once you give them a name like Scorpion, it don't matter what they're even there for. They're going to be violent with the shit. You can have a police unit that only does paperwork, but if you call them Scorpions, they're going to be swooping in and whipping ass with W-2 forms. Anyway.
Agreed.
And that's the other thing, man. It's not that hard for the police to name a unit after something other than a deadly animal. You ain't got to name every unit after a deadly animal. It's easy. Just watch this. Securing neighborhoods alongside kind enforcement. That's peaceful.
Ain't that snake?
Don't interrupt me. I'm still thinking, man. Give me a second. What about this?
All right, that was an okay joke. I could rock with that one.
So what about this one? This is peaceful. Securing homes and rescuing kids with orderly, lawful functionality. That's good.
Shark Wolf.
Damn. Okay. This is something I thought. Forget acronyms. We can do one. We can do the police unit is peaceful, kind. Gentle enforcement needs officers carefully inspecting downtown elements.
Don't you want me to finish the week, man? That's genocide.
Okay. All right. Well, then just forget the names. Here's an idea. Police got all these elite units. Mm-hmm. How about the police form an elite unit that's specifically trained to not kill black people? That's the unit. So all
right. I've had enough. I'm sorry. Like, let me read these super chats and then I'm gonna switch over into Boyce Watkins because I want to see what his take is. It's got to be a lot more entertaining than this. I love downtown Detroit and the Grosse Pointe area. Shout out to Sir Shy. I appreciate you. Darren Walker says nope. Amy Schumer, however you spell it, is the worst comedian. I'm not really sure about. I don't know anything about Amy Schumer like that. I've never watched one of her comedy stand-ups or anything like that. Michael Jones says, Anton, LOL, nah, fam. I got nothing but love for you, but as a fellow Chicagoan, Chicago invented house music. Cap, Michael Jones. Listen, I appreciate you for holding down the family, but I'm telling you that it is cap. Chicago did not invent house music. That is cap. Maybe you're right. That got to be wrong. It wasn't invented in the 80s. That's wrong. It got to be wrong. This cannot be wrong. That's got to be wrong. But see, this is the real thing. Now, this is a better one. Godfather of music and how we invented dance music as we know it. Frankie Knuckles in 1977. No, that's not right. Moving to Chicago. Before moving to Chicago. On the same time, disco was embedded in his way. Knuckles was inspired by red genres. Attorney, of course, The Godfather was inspired. That was given a drum machine. Upon leaving the warehouse in 1982, started his own club. Knuckles was given a drum machine by DJ Derek May, who helped pioneer Detroit techno. EDM. So it wasn't even invented in Chicago. It was invented in Detroit. It was invented in Detroit. Yo, this is conflicting information. It was conflicted information. Before leaving, he was given a drum machine from DJ Derek May, who helped to pioneer Detroit techno, which also nourished the embryo of early EDM. Okay, so techno was invented in Detroit. House music apparently came as a result next to that and was Chicago. I'm not paying no attention to y'all at all right now. I'm reading super chats. Thank you, Michael Jones, for the super chat. Let me go ahead and get this out of here really quickly. Aaron says, Chicago regularly sends out delegates to spread our greatness. Don't worry, I'm here doing the Lord's work and converting people to the Bulls Blackhawks fans. I don't know why y'all converting people to the Bulls. Y'all taking our leftovers. Y'all sitting over there with Andre Drummond filling up the paint, getting dunked on. Colin Cole says, why be a cop these days when the department doesn't even cover you in the line of duty? Big podcast. Says, imagine fumbling a bag on a Friday. No, sir, not me. Got here just in time to get into Boyce Watkins. Salute, AD. Thank you to Big Podcast. I appreciate you. All right, somebody is saying that house music is from Chicago and tech music is from Detroit. House music is from Chicago, tech music is from Detroit. Is that an accurate assessment? Is that an accurate assessment? I will never accept that y'all telling me that. We're going to do a little bit more of a deep dive. We're going to have this conversation on Fight Club tonight. Let's go into Boyce Watkins. Boyce Watkins, thank y'all for the super chats and holding down the platform. Boyce Watkins is saying that, and the name of this video is saying Jason Whitlock and D.L. Hughley are basically the same person. Saying they basically the same person. And so I want to get y'all take on this. I'm going to play the video. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description, as well as pinned to the top of the chat. In addition to that, make sure that somebody says the Pistons ain't that much better. The Pistons won a championship more recently than the Chicago Bulls. That's for sure. And we have the foundation for a phenomenal team, and y'all just going to go right back out of the playoffs where we'll be controlling what's going on in the NBA for the next 10 to 15 years, boy. I missed your super chat spaces. Let me look at your super chat. Let me make sure I caught your super chat spaces. I'm pretty sure I didn't miss your super chat spaces. I don't want to miss nobody's super chat. Spaces, my guy, said for that sermon last night, F them kids, hashtag bag chasers. All right, I did miss it, but I went back and caught it, though. So shout out to Spaces. I want to get into this Boyce Watkins conversation. Let's see what he had to say. Thank you, everybody that's holding me down. Let's get it, y'all.
Everybody, what's going on? I hope you guys are having a good day. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I was coming in for a second because I saw D.L. Hughley. I guess he was one of the guest hosts for Trevor Noah the other day on Comedy Central. And I think D.L. is, he's a good professional comedian and everything else. And I hope he gets that opportunity, and good for him. But I saw that he did a segment. I didn't watch the whole thing, to be honest with you, but I did see where he did a segment about Jason Whitlock and Jason Whitlock's comments. His really, I think, problematic comments about the killing of Tyree Nichols and single mothers, the baby mama culture in the black community. Right now, on one hand, I don't agree with what Jason had to say. I know DL and Jason. I know them both. I've talked to them both on the phone several times. So we just gotta all know each other in passing. And but at the same time, I think these guys are smart enough and strong enough where they can receive critique, because I'm sure they would critique me. DL did a whole video about me maybe about a couple months ago, and I received it. It's fine. It's life. That's what people do. But here's the thing, right?
I am not. Hold on. Wait a minute. Friends don't do negative critiques on friends, and he is not your friend, Boyce Watkins. Friends don't do negative critiques on friends online. They do it to him in person. And so I don't think that he's your friend, Boyce Watkins, at all. But that's just my personal opinion. Let's continue with it. Let's keep it rocking.
So DL, let me give you the context, and then I'll kind of give you
and I'm reading super chats.
Why I'm even sharing this point of view. So DL did a segment where he's basically calling out Jason Whitlock for his unfortunate comments about single mothers and connecting it to the Tyree Nichols killing and all that, which really is just kind of it's Jason kind of being Jason. Jason's a little bit too.
Some people are saying, why is he talking so fast? Because I sped it up to 1.5 times so that we can actually try to get through the video in a reasonable amount of time and we're not bored to death.
A little bit too raw in his comments sometimes, and sometimes it's a little too black and white for him. I don't know if he is always open to other points of view, and so he deserves to be criticized for that, especially in terms of how that comment was taken. You can't look at the Tyree Nichols situation and say, well, it's because we have so many single mothers. Another way to say that actually would be to say that we have a lot of absent fathers, right? People talk all day about single mothers, but don't talk much about absent fathers. And I think that all comes together, but it doesn't mean that the men are solely responsible for the epidemic. It doesn't mean the women are solely responsible, because two people make a baby together. It's two people doing this together, not one person. Now,
and this is where he's wrong. And we had this conversation on the Lapeef Let's Talk show last night. And again, I'm going to read y'all super chats throughout the show. This is where he's wrong, because let's just say hypothetically. Let's say hypothetically for the sake of conversation, because we also have to factor in feminism. And Ali actually had this conversation also. Let's say hypothetically that let's say 95% of the men in the world, right? But we're going to say the black community specifically. Let's say 95% of the men, because most men are good men. Most men have good jobs. Most men don't have kids out of wedlock. That is a fact. That is not my opinion. That is a fact. Most men are very, very much on the up and up, and they just not as visible and don't have platforms to be able to express themselves. And that's why I'm here, in order to stand up for them, right? But let's just say, for example, most men are moving in their purpose and doing what they're supposed to do. And then the overwhelming majority of women, because we know that the majority of women actually want 20% of the men, or 5% of the men for that example, because we can't find a woman that don't say I don't want a man that make $100,000 a year. But for some reason, they continue to open their legs up by a small majority of the men that are having the most babies. Do you then hold both all men and women responsible, especially when you can say that women are the ones that make the choice between life and death, and they're the ones that control access to sex? Do you put equal accountability and responsibility across the board? And I get it, right? I've never had a kid out of wedlock. I know that the way in which you control what's happening within your household, or whether or not you're contributing to the problem, is to have dick discipline and not to stick your cock and nut off in a chick that you're not really rocking with, right? I get that. That's standard. That's not something that's mind-boggling and whatever. Like, we understand that. But I can be as great as I want to be, and I can't prevent the overwhelming majority of women from becoming single mothers by my own actions. Let me say it one more time. I can be as disciplined as I want to be. My brothers are disciplined. My father was disciplined. My uncles are disciplined. The different people that are in my circle, all of the married men that I know, for all I know, are disciplined. And it does not prevent, or it does not exclude or disclude women from then being responsible. And you cannot say it's equal accountability and equal responsibility when we know that the family court laws are slanted towards women. You cannot make that irresponsible take, because every single woman in the world, whether or not we have 5 good men or 500 million good men, every single woman in the world can open their legs up to a small majority of the population, and then they're the ones that are creating these spawns of Satan that then we have to take care of as a society and as a community. So just because it takes 2 people to be able to make a baby does not mean it absolves, or you can just extend responsibility irresponsibly to both parties equally. It is a bad argument, and it is a lazy argument, and it is an argument that is rooted in so many different falsehoods. It's an argument that's rooted in feminism, and it's an argument that is not really extending responsibility across the board equally. It's not. You cannot give this lazy take, because it is a very, very bad narrative that we continue to spew. And it's only to absolve other people of the true responsibility that they're supposed to have, because then women can say, well, it would take 2 to make a baby. I don't ever see a man that says, well, it take 2 to make a baby when they held responsible in family court laws. I don't see a man that say, well, it take 2 to make a baby when they have to be faced with jail time as a result of not paying child support. They don't do that. They just own it. They have to. Society is forcing them to. It is not their choice. It is something that is bestowed upon them. And they have no choice as to how things are going to continue to play.
Here's the thing. So Jason's comment could have been said better. I don't agree with it in terms of how it was presented. I think what he was trying to say, which I'll just say what I think, but I'm hoping he was trying to say, is that there is a difference in terms of black male behavior when there's masculine leadership in place versus when there's not masculine leadership. And what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of the gang violence you see on the south side of Chicago is a direct reflection of the missing fathers in that community. Fathers are the gatekeepers. We're the ones who hold it down. We're the OGs. We're the mentors. We're the ones who get involved, who can intervene.
See the lazy take? He basically extended it over to the fathers again. And he completely absolved women from any responsibility of how it is that they're They're opening their legs to the worst people in society. It's a lazy take.
In a gang affiliated situation and protect people. Like Farrakhan, for example. Farrakhan has done this when rappers get into a beef, they sit down with Farrakhan and he's able to help squash the beef in a way that would be different if he were a woman. I think young women listen to women differently from the way they listen to men. Young men listen to men differently from the way they listen to women. Give me a yes if you kind of understand where I'm going with this. It doesn't mean women don't add value. It doesn't mean women aren't amazing. It doesn't mean women aren't doing the best they can. It just means that boys, when they hit about 13 or 14 years old, and this is not just true for humans, this is true for all mammals actually. Most mammals, most male mammals, when they hit adolescence and beyond, they respond differently when they have a man kind of holding it down versus when there is no man. You know, think about any time you've ever seen a boy who got to be 13, 14 years old, the bass in his voice appears, he starts to get a little hair on his chest, next thing you know, he's talking shit to his mama. And his mama is, you know, screaming, you go out in them streets, you better bring your black ass home. He's like, yeah, whatever. And I get that because I remember going through that phase myself where my mama would come in with all that yelling and screaming, and I got to the point where I was like, wait a minute, I'm bigger than you. You need to back the hell up.
Cap. We don't believe you. You need more people. We don't believe. Yo, put a 1 in the chat if you believe that Boyce Watkins actually stood up to his mother. Put a 2 in the chat if you think that he acquiesced to whatever it is that his mother said. Put a 1 in the chat if you think that Boyce Watkins got some hair on his chest and he told his mama, you better shut the F up and not do all of this other type of stuff. Put a 2 in the chat if you think that Boyce Watkins actually shut up and did what his mama told him to do.
The only thing that stopped that was my father's presence. My father was a police officer, and when I got too out of pocket, my father toned me down. It was my father who did that, right? And I really wish people would understand this and stop acting like fathers don't matter. So I'm hoping that's what Jason was trying to say. He said it badly. He deserves to be criticized for his comment. He's a strong guy. He can take criticism. Now, another strong guy who can also take criticism is D.L. Hughley. DL, he did a segment on the Trevor Noah show where he was kind of, going after Jason Whitlock or whatever. And again, this is feeding more into all the black on black stuff, right?
I see y'all with the twos in the chat. I see y'all with the twos in the chat. Let me read some of the super chats. Aaron says, AD is the Boyce Watkins of sports. And music takes. No, my sports and music takes are 10 times better than my money takes. My sports and music takes are 10 times better than my money takes. Let me say that again. Like I'm Umar Johnson. My sports and music takes are 10 times better than my money takes. Big Podcast says why he got a cop 20 pleas before saying what he wants to say. Shout out to you for the 5 ball. Sir Shad says Boyce has to simp. He waited 20 years for his wife. We're gonna let him breathe off that. We're just gonna attack the argument. We're not gonna attack the person. Thank y'all for the super chats. I appreciate y'all.
Talk crazy about black people to other black people, right? Not talk crazy, but I'll be critical or whatever, right? Like I'll talk to you guys about Whitlock and DL because there's a nuanced conversation. Neither one of these guys are complete assets. Neither one of these guys are complete liabilities. But you can say the same thing about me. A lot of people will say the same thing about me. But you will never see me go on the Trevor Noah show in front of a bunch of white people and sit around and talk shit about black people. I just won't do that. If I go in front of a bunch of white people, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna talk shit about white people. If I go in front of a crowd full of white people, I'm gonna be like, here's what y'all need to fix. Here's what y'all need to change. No, yeah, we got this black guy over here that I disagree with, but right now that's my brother because right now we put on a unified front because the real enemy is the shit y'all are doing to even create the cage that's causing us to want to take each other out. That's what I would be doing, right? So believe me, I would not be on the Trevor Noah show or any other white show sitting around.
So it's white people's fault now. All right, got it.
Around talking shit about a black person. That's just not fun for me. That's a waste of energy. That's not my real adversary, but that's the game. They pin us against each other. They say, oh, well, here's a Negro that's a Democrat. Let's get a Negro that's a Republican. And let's have them fight it out like Chicken George fighting with the other slave from the other plantation. It's gonna be entertaining, y'all. I'm not here for your goddamn entertainment. I'm just not. I'm not here for your
Where do I start here? Let me let it play a little bit more.
Entertainment. And so with if you recall, remember, Jason, is somewhat aligned with the right. DL's aligned with the left.
How many times didn't he do business with an Asian man at what? Anyways, let me stop. Don't he work for like a white university, PWI? Do he work for a HBCU? Was he a professor at a HBCU? Wasn't he on all of these liberal talk shows in front of a bunch of white people, and they're the one that held up what it? He's more closely aligned with white women than he are with black men. He's more closely aligned with white women than he is with black men. That is a fact. The feminist movement was largely to undermine what was going on with civil rights and black people in a general sense, and that's why Got to be smarter than this. Got to be smarter than this.
DL goes on this white show and he decides Jason, for whatever reason, is one of the biggest problems in the black community. When I personally think that the racial wealth gap is one of the biggest problems in the black community. I personally think that a government that doesn't give a shit about you is one of the greater problems in the black community. I personally think that white-owned racist media in hip-hop, where they're promoting a death culture to young black men, I think that's a bigger problem than Jason Whitlock. Just my 2 cents. I see Jason, when he's at his best, I see him as an asset because he believes in fatherhood. I see DL when he's at his best as an asset, when it comes to like a guy who's smart, who's trying to do the right thing. I don't agree.
And that's where me and Jason Whitlock had divided, right? It was a couple different issues. The take that he had, because I didn't believe that it had anything as far as relevancy to the specific case with Tyree Nichols. That was one. We had that conversation. And at the end of the conversation, if you go back and you look at the dialogue between me and Jason Whitlock, and he was saying that family was the biggest purpose. And I said, no, a man doing what it is that he's supposed to do based off of the God-given requirements, or what the task is that God has given that man is the purpose, and the woman is a helpmeet. All right. And so that's where we divided. And ironically enough, as you're seeing happen right on this show, and thank y'all for the super chats, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat, and make sure y'all tap into the Alpha Juice Company. As you're seeing espoused right here before us, the very thing that I actually disagreed with Jason Whitlock about is the very thing that Boyce Watkins agrees with Jason Whitlock about. Did I mention Boyce Watkins during that exchange? Do you remember whether or not I mentioned Boyce Watkins during that exchange? Thank y'all for the super chats. I'm gonna read them throughout the show. No, I mentioned Dwayne Wade and Magic Johnson. I mentioned Dwayne Wade and Magic Johnson. I didn't mention Boyce Watkins. I wish I'd have brought him up.
I agree with everything DL does, though. I think DL, unfortunately, he's a puppet for the Democrats. Everything he says is, well, everybody got to go get that.
Family is not the most important thing as far as at the top of the totem pole for what men should be doing in their life. I'm going to say it again. Family is not the most important objective for a man, because then that would mean that we're prioritizing women over our purpose. It's not our requirement to prioritize women. It is our requirement to prioritize our purpose. And then women fall under that. And that's why you see so many simps and men that can't substantiate what it is that they do. And they so easily controlled by women because they've made women and family. That's where you get that happy wife, happy life bullcrap from, as the primary purpose. That is not the primary purpose. That is how women control you. It is not the number one objective for a man. That is the number one objective for a woman. And any man that says that family is the number one objective for a man obviously is thinking from a woman's perspective, or they have to be a woman because they couldn't understand possibly what it takes in order to be the man. Men fight wars. Men defend their country. Men build infrastructure. Men invent things. Men do things that women are unable to do and unwilling to do, even when we have equal rights and all of these jobs in which women can then apply for. Men do the things. Let me tell you what the true measure of a man is. Shout out to my uncle and my former pastor, Rod Harris. The true measure of a man is doing the thing you don't want to do when you don't want to do it. The true measure of a man is doing the thing you don't want to do when you don't want to do it. The thing that I see men say all the time is that they do want families. They don't have a problem with doing that as long as they're not being misused by a woman. The thing that they don't want to have to do every day is go and stand out there in the cold and defend their country like they over there doing in Ukraine. They don't want to go out there in the cold and defend their country like they have to do over there in Ukraine. They don't want to have to build these infrastructure projects. They don't want to have to die on a job. They don't want to be in those coal mines. They don't want to be fighting wars. They don't want to be dying on the front line so that you can have your freedom and protect your country. That's what they don't want to do, but they do what they have to do when they don't want to do it, because that is the true purpose and the measure of a man. Do you think for 1 second, regardless of whether or not you stood more closely on the side of Malcolm X or Martin Luther King, and these were two men that had families, these were two men that had children and wives and families, okay? And I read their autobiography. I read the one from Malcolm X's daughter and all of that, right? Knowing that it was a strong possibility that they were going to die tomorrow, knowing that they were going to get arrested, beat, shot on the balcony, so on and so forth. Do you think for 1 second that they would have preferred or they should have prioritized being with their family, or that they did the thing that they didn't want to do because they felt like they were serving a greater purpose and going out there and making sure that they was advocating for civil rights for black people? Was the purpose to serve their country and thus serve the people, or was the purpose their family? And then it's funny because then people will conflate arguments, and it's so easy for people to get distracted from what the message is. If we're talking about relationships, then I'm going to talk about how within a relationship that I then prioritize how it is that my wife is saying and doing things, because the best version of her, and when she's in a good space, it means that she adds a lot of value to me. But it does not remove me from prioritizing what my purpose is. Two things can be true at the same time. It could be one, and then it could be two. But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to put effort into two just because one is the number one priority. My wife is the priority over my daughter, right? I am the priority over my wife. Does that mean that my daughter is not a priority also, or does it mean that my wife is the number one priority when it comes to our household? And this is why y'all need to pray for understanding. You need to pray to get out of your own way so that you can truly understand the message that's being communicated. Two things can be true at the same time. You can be a good person to your wife while also prioritizing them and having your number one priority being the work that you do. Because if it wasn't my work, then I wouldn't be going outside every day in order to earn resources. I would be sitting under her all day. I would work my 40 hours and then I would come home. I wouldn't be building. I wouldn't be pouring into y'all. I wouldn't be making sure that I'm meeting y'all in every other city at my own expense. I wouldn't be investing in y'all businesses with nothing in return. My purpose is to leave this earth in a better space had I not been here. My family is the added benefit that comes along with that. Two things can be true at the same time. When we talk about relationships, I'm going to prioritize that as a part of the conversation. When we're talking about money and men's purpose, that's a completely different conversation. And this is why you don't have conversations with women, because they're incapable of understanding how to look at it from a man's perspective, because the only thing that they lean into is how it is that they feel, not what's logical. They can't parse through logic the same way that men parse through it, which means that they can't do the same things that men do because they can't see the same way that men see, because you're not capable of it. And that's why God made you a woman and me a man. Jesus. God bless these people. Let's continue.
Jab. You gotta go get that jab. If you don't get the jab, you're stupid. Fuck you. Like, why are you telling me I gotta go put that shit in my body? I'm not saying that I dog you if you got the jab. If you got the jab, then good for you. Get another one. Like, I'm gonna support you. I love you all the way to the. You can get 80 jabs, and I get it. I understand. You want to protect yourself in the best way you know how. But when you're letting these people pay you to go out and promote this nonsense, do y'all remember when he fainted on stage and then said something like, "Yeah, I guess one of the other signs of COVID is."
Look how crazy that this comment is. Let me share this with y'all. Anton is around his family. Don't listen to him. Most dudes driving trucks while kids out robbing banks. It's the dumbest thing that I've ever heard in my life. I know that this person is not a bag chaser. It's impossible. It's impossible. Impossible. Look how much of an oxymoron that this is. Sometimes I glance over and I see some of the dumbest things that I've ever seen in my entire life. Jesus Christ. This is impossible.
19 on stage.
I'm honestly, you know what? I weep. I weep sometimes. Because sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm invigorated in order to pour into people. And then sometimes I'll be thinking to myself, it's no hope for us. As a collective, we got to just go ahead and just go our own way. And it's some of us that's going to make it and some of us is not. It's no hope for us. It's no hope for our community and our culture, because even when you got a person that is practically fucking perfect, giving you the blueprint on what success looks like and a mindset in order to do so, you will have people fighting back while they sitting in their mama's basement playing Nintendo every day. Jesus Christ.
Something like he tied it back into COVID and jabs and all that, and I'm like, dude, you just fainted. You probably fainted because you're old. Like, you know, don't you smoke? Like, do you smoke cigarettes? You know, like, what are you talking about? Like, you can have diabetes or something. Like, why are you trying to make this a political conversation? You know, remember, and the thing is that you're ignoring vital information that people are paying attention to. Remember, Mark Lamont Hill, again, another guy running around promoting this jab. This man had a heart attack at the age of 38. Do y'all understand me? Do y'all hear what I'm saying right now? This man had a heart attack at 38. And he is the only 38-year-old black man I know that had a heart attack recently in the last.
What is he talking about? How is this relevant to what Jason Whitlock versus D.L. Hughley is saying? What is he talking about? What does the jab got to do with anything?
year? Do y'all, I mean, are y'all just so stuck on stupid with this Democrat-Republican nonsense that you can't see simple facts in front of you? I'm not saying that it's wrong to get the jab or right to get the jab. I'm saying that there needs to be a deeper conversation that goes beyond just, well, Dr. Fauci told me to say it, so I was just going to go repeat it because Master Biden told me to repeat this talking points and these messages, y'all. Get out of here, man. It's crazy to me. So my point on all this is to say that DL and Jason Whitlock are kind of the same guy. They are. I mean, and DL and Jason, if you're watching this, like, you can call me. Like, I'm a man. Like, you can call me and say, boys, I didn't like what you had to say. And I'm going to be like, okay, let me hear your perspective. I will listen to you. I will respect you. I will have that conversation.
How are they the same guy? Let me just take a quick pause and read some of these super chats. What is he talking about? They said Moist ain't pulled. Boyce Watkins ain't trying to pull up with Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I said I had 100,000 for him. Maybe that's not enough. Maybe he think that that's peanuts to him, huh? Shin C says salute to you too, fam. Mel Duke says my mom said I don't have money to get your arse out of jail. So if you gonna go there, then stay. That's a pretty good take. I ain't got no money to get you out of jail, so if you're going to go there, be prepared to stay. That's a heck of a line. Shout out to Moms Do. Holman Harvey says Whitlock basically called Anton a woman on his own show. No, he didn't. But, of course, y'all going to take things out of context. And because I'm not emotional about it, and I seen the joke that he tried to make about being an feminine energy, it was a good joke. And so you take it in stride, and you be able to continue to have a conversation because you don't let that determine or stop you from getting the good content. But shout out to the super chat for letting me know that. I appreciate it. Janessa Coleman with the 10 ball says, hello, brother Anton and family. Love DL Hughley. Big Podcast says they don't be really reading the Bible, so they don't get it. We know. I know. It's a lot of heathens sometimes that come and chill. Silver Lion says a man can place what they wish up front for their purpose, but should never complain if they don't attain a level of success and love they desire. Shout out to Silverline. I appreciate you. Let's continue.
With you. I have nothing against you. I've talked to these guys on the phone before. Each time it was a good conversation. Jason called me when I was in Guyana, and he called me again a couple times later. I was on his show. DL has reached out. I saw DL when I went to Willie D. Willie D is one of my best buddies. He was in my wedding, and Willie D had an event. DL was hosting. DL did a great job because DL is a good comedian. But I stand by my basic point. DL's a comedian. He's a comedian. He's not a political analyst. He's a comedian. He's not a black leader. He's a comedian. He's not some sort of intellectual that should be guiding the direction.
Then why did he speak on all of the issues and he have hot takes on all of the things that ain't even relevant when it comes to jokes? Half of the time when D.L. Hughley is having conversations, it's not a joke. Now, I understand what he does for a living. It's also rappers that do things for a living. They rap for a living, but they also have takes on how we should be moving as a society and as a community. And so I don't just look at D.L. Hughley as a comedian. I look at D.L. Hughley as a man that is influencing people to do things the wrong way. So I'm not just going to lean on that lazy take. I don't look at him as a comedian.
In the black community, he is a comedian who is also too far in bed, getting screwed in the butt by the Democratic Party. Seriously, like he is a comedian who is like, I shouldn't have said that was mean. But somebody said, why didn't you call them? Because it's a public conversation. I don't care about these celebrities. I'd rather talk to you. Talking to you is more interesting to me than talking to famous people. It's really more so to say, I personally think that black people should be independent. I think the only route you can take on that's going to make any progress for you is you got to get out of the Democrat-Republican conversation. You got to, in my view, if you want my political opinion, I think we should exit the building because you got liberals that are giving you a bunch of nonsense, promoting agendas that don't make any sense. And then you got conservatives that, if I don't really think the people on Fox News care about you like that. I just don't think they like you. I think you're.
But are they right on the majority of their takes? It's not about whether or not you're Republican or conservative. You just said that the liberals are pushing something on you that you're not supposed to be having, and they got these agendas. And then his only takes is, but I don't think Republicans really care about you.
you're a convenient ally. There's some areas where you might overlap. Like they tend to believe in families and fatherhood and all that. So that's some of the stuff I'm like, okay, I can get with you on that. But then sometimes they get into a bunch of BS. Like they don't believe in taxing rich people. They protect rich people more than they protect anybody. So what the Republicans do is they use Bible Belt dog whistle terminology to control the masses, so they can do their number one job, which is to take care of the rich. And this is
the dumb stuff that our parents tried to teach us wrongly, is that Republicans was for rich people and Democrats was for poor people. It's the biggest lie. Republicans is for removing the barriers that allow for you to either be able to rise or fall based off of your own hard work and merits. That's it. Conservative thinking is to have smaller government, less regulation, more opportunity, and then also to protect the freedoms of the United States of America and not making it available to any Tom, Dick, and Harry that just decide to cross over the border. From a very basic fundamental standpoint. That's what being conservative is separating church and state. It's leaning more heavily into, listen, you make your own rules, and if you can't abide by those rules, then you're going to have to go ahead and suffer for the consequences. There are no victim Olympics. And basically, however it is that your life turned out is as a result of your own actions. And we want to remove the government from making more decisions to determine how we should spend our tax dollars. That's the premise. That's the basic premise for being conservative and leaning more closely into the Republican Party. Protect our freedoms, protect our country. Don't let everybody in to be able to say and dictate how things go. We don't want to pay more taxes than we have to, and we don't want to make it unfair to where more rich people have to pay more based off of the hard work that they put in to be able to give to poor people or to give to people that's actually not putting in as much effort. That's the basic premise of it. There is no bias. There is no protect rich people. It's just that most people that do what they're supposed to do and work very hard are actually people that turn out to be rich. It's a difference. That's the difference. You work hard, you put in all of your effort, you pay your dues, and then as a result, you get rich from it. People that tend not to make excuses tend to be the ones that benefit the most.
What I need y'all to understand, this is where my superpower emerges. I'm a financial guy. I can see how the money influences decision making. So the Democrats and the Republicans, they all do the same thing. The Republicans take care of rich conservatives. The Democrats take care of rich liberals. And the rest is just a bunch of banter that is carefully manipulated to make sure they get enough votes to allow them to pursue their agenda. Let me just say this. I've shown you guys the national debt clock in terms of how much money the government...
I'm still trying to understand how they're the same person. How is Jason Whitlock and D.L. Hughley the same person?
Your children and grandchildren are cursed with debt. The pandemic was handled very poorly. The Biden administration was just pouring money out there. They created an inflation problem. That's why your groceries are out of control. That's why the rent prices have gotten out of control. That's why people can't afford stuff now. It's because they were pumping money into the economy in a very irresponsible way, giving it to the wrong people, giving it to their rich buddies. In fact, they gave $5 billion to people that didn't even really have an adequate social security number. That's how uncareful they were, and now you got a big mess.
That was all liberal policies, 100%. It was all liberal policies.
A lot of the deficit and debt problems of the United States will be solved if they did one thing. If they did one thing, a lot of these problems will go away. You know what that is? All you got to do is tax the rich.
This Shaw King. This is supposed to be one of the most intelligent black thought leaders in our community that has a platform. This is supposed to be one of the most intelligent black thought leaders. And he has literally the exact same solution as the ones that he's saying is pushing an agenda, and that's Joe Biden. Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, AOC, they all say the same thing. Tax, 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 more tax rich people. Tax, tax, the tax, tax. Never mind the fact that the government today is wildly inefficient. They don't even know how to manage what it is that they already getting. Just levy more taxes. Just tax more. He literally just went on this rant about how it is that we don't manage the resources effectively and how they giving out money unnecessarily as far as our tax dollars is going to places that it ain't even supposed to go. And his solution is the exact same thing that Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, and Bernie Sanders, feel the burn, is saying on all of these platforms, and it's tax the rich. Jesus Christ. This is y'all king? This lazy take is y'all king? Is this y'all king? Solve the deficit and the debt problem, the debt ceiling, by just taxing. Not even realizing that the middle class are the ones that get decimated when they continue to raise taxes. Not me, it'd be y'all. It's regular, everyday folks, and that's listen, a decimation of the middle class is coming at the behest of liberal policies. Every time you hear them say tax, you the one that's going to suffer from it, not me. I'm going to go buy another Rolex. I'm going to go get another property. Less than 1% of the population owns more than 90% of the real estate. Why do you think that that's happening? As we continue to elevate with our tax system, Jesus Christ.
Tax the rich. If they were to tax the rich the way they're supposed to, these problems would go away. If you analyze the national deficit, that shit started growing when Bush did the tax cuts back in 2000, right before 9/11. This is a 20-year thing. Right before 9/11, Bush followed his predecessor, Ronald Reagan, and because Clinton had created a surplus. Clinton also took care of rich people. That's what the politicians do. That's why they're here. Just like the police protect the rich from the poor, that's a trickle down for the politicians protecting the rich from the poor. Reagan pushed through Reaganomics, which was terrible for the economy long term, but it was good for rich people. And then Clinton created a surplus. Because there was a surplus, Bush said, let's push through these tax cuts. And he basically cut taxes for the rich. Well, what he did not know was that the next year they were going to have 9/11, which is going to lead to a...
Actually, if you really want to understand policy and you want to understand what happened from a political perspective, Clinton is the one that manufactured the housing crisis. The reason that we had a surplus was not necessarily because we were generating more revenue from a good perspective. It was because we was mortgaging our future so that we would then have to operate within a recession from 2008 all the way up to 2011, 2012. President Clinton was the one that manufactured and put the early parts of the recession in place that we then had to suffer for and pay for in 2008. President Clinton literally sold off with all of the different agreements and opening up things for international trade and everything like that, as far as allowing for manufacturing to then come in and take the place. It was a lot of small oh man, God, don't even get me started of what really happened in the 90s. Don't even get me started. President Clinton is literally the one that put in place what it was that we wound up suffering from in 2008. And you know what else is going to happen? What you see happening today as far as the policies that's being implemented by President Biden, we're going to suffer. You're going to suffer from that 10 to 15 years from now. If you think the recession is what it is today, okay. You have no clue what it is that you're going to be facing in the future. And this is supposed to be our thought leaders, man. Jesus.
$1 trillion spending spree on military equipment to go fight this fake war over in Iraq and Afghanistan. That's literally what. And then if you look at the trend, that's when the deficit started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then Obama comes along. He's your hero because he's black and he knows how to fist bump with Michelle and y'all really, he's getting jiggy with Michelle and she's the beautiful family and all that. That was all. That's all. Unfortunately, a lot of that's an illusion, because if you remember when Obama took over office, right, he was like the black football coach. You know how they give the black football coaches opportunity when the team sucks. Like they brought Deion to Colorado because the team ain't won shit for 20 years. Well, the economy was in the tank when Obama came in. When Obama came in, the economy was in the tank. It was on the cliff. It was on the brink of major collapse. Obama comes in and gets $750 billion, if I'm not mistaken, and gives that money straight to Wall Street. He did not go. Now remember, they could have went to Main Street. They could have went and helped people pay their mortgages. They could have did a lot of stuff with that money, but no, they gave that money to Goldman Sachs.
This is a lazy take, and I just really don't have time to parse through it so that I can really break it down. I got a meeting that I got to prepare for, but oh my God, I would love to debate this guy about politics and economic policy and looking at our portfolios. There is no person that I would rather stand in front of than Boyce Watkins. There is no person that I would feel more comfortable standing in front of than Boyce Watkins. A person that is one of our thought leaders, professors, taking us through all of these bad takes on a regular basis. Oh, my Jesus. Anyways, let me read the rest of these super chats really quickly. Shout out to K Grace. K Grace says, thank you, young brother, for your perspective. Thank you, K Grace, for holding me down. I appreciate you, love. Also, 20 ball, Gary S. says, great interview with Whitlock, Anton. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you for rocking with me and for supporting the platform. You are absolutely awesome. The lowly one says, DL is supposed to be a comedian, but much like many of these entertainers and jesters, they have this weird habit of not staying in their lane. Facts. 100% facts. I agree with that 1,000%. Thank y'all for supporting the platform. Thank y'all for holding me down. Thank y'all for continuing to tune in every single Monday through Friday for the Millionaire Morning Show and for the Lip Heath Let's Talk Show and the Anton Daniels channel. I implore you to educate yourself. Join the Bag Chasers. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Also, on top of that, make sure you get into the Alpha Juice Company. That link is in the description. Do not order Alpha Juice without putting a discount code in, and you will be absolutely positively ecstatic as a result of it. The lowly one also says Biden also left billions of dollars worth of arsenal over in Afghanistan, but they want our tax money. These people, shout out to the lowly one. I appreciate you. Also, Brock says he sent me the $5 for the Pastor Love offering. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Absolutely, positively, 100% do not fumble the bag on a Friday. We're doing great things. Make sure you tune in to Fight Club tonight. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Go get your Alpha Juice Company. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. And then last but not least, I need you to do me one more favor before we get up out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be successful by ourselves. I love you. I appreciate you. You are absolutely, positively some of the greatest audience and people ever. It's been a phenomenal week. Let's do great things this weekend, family. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you later. Peace.